Welcome to the Custom Protection Services Radio Show on Building Fortunes Radio. Custom Protection Services Incorporated takes their clients' safety and security seriously. We have them on our radio show to show you that Custom Protection Services are not a one-size-fits-all security solution. Custom Protection Services provides a hands-on approach and is dedicated to your personal and your company's safety and security. Learn more by visiting www.customprotectionservices.com and by checking out all their social media links. Make sure you check out additional radio shows by clicking on the Custom Protection Services radio show segments on buildingfortunesradio.com. That's www.buildingfortunesradio.com. Custom Protection Services and Building Fortunes Radio are proud to be able to introduce the company and the customized security product line. And now on to our show with Rock and Peter Mingils. Take it away, Peter.
Hello, everyone. Peter Mingils here. You're listening to us on Building Fortunes Radio. This is a special segment with a great company called Custom Protection Services. That's Custom Protection Services. I received a phone call from a gentleman named Rock a while back, and I just like saying that because he's a good guy. So Rock called me from Texas, and he was talking about some of the things that they were doing, and we both kind of didn't know at that time as we started to talk about the radio show and some of the things that we were doing, some of the events that would be happening. Rock's got a great business with Custom Protection Services where they do a lot of things for security and services. And if you go to the website by the same name, customprotectionservices.com, so custom as if they customize stuff, protection services, like there's way more than one.com, you'll see all the cool things that they do. And when Rock was talking to me, we were talking about a few things, and they're now on the stock market, so you could buy stock in the company. And we started doing some stuff and said, a lot of people really need to know about what's going on with you guys as you're growing the security business in cybersecurity, accounting security, physical security, personal security, armed security, all sort of stuff is always going to be a growing business. We really had no idea what would be happening right now with this coronavirus. So I know Rock gets 3 types of phone calls right now. And it's hot, so one of them is going to be, of course, how can you help us with the security needs from our company? So that's probably one. As he's talking to people, he's probably getting a lot of people thinking about, do you guys sell stock in your company? Because if there's one type of company that should be growing right now, it's certainly yours. And the third one is one I'm making up. I'm sure he hasn't gotten too many of these yet, is are you selling a swimsuit version of your calendar yet? Because it sounds pretty hot. This guy's talking around with guys with guns and stuff like that. This is a little bit on the like, wow, this is an interesting thing. They do a whole bunch of stuff, as you'll learn, that we never even thought about. So I want to just say, Rock, thanks for being here.
Well, thanks for having me again. It's been a good association over the last month or so with you and your radio station. You would never think when you have a name like we are, being in the Custom Protection Services, it means just that our even though we're trading on the OTC under CSPS, it covers all areas of security. Today, the whole world faces the need of custom protection, and that means many things in different venues. And although we have an incredible pandemic, and for those of you that really don't know that word actually does mean worldwide virus, and that's what we're facing. As a matter of fact, when I came in this morning, I still have 23 phone calls from potential customers wanting our services. As far as how many different venues there are, what it means to different people. There's people talk about this 14 days of quarantine. That basically is once you know you have it, not before you have it. So, but we certainly understand that, and we offer our services in screening and with other affiliates through the medical field as far as in testing. And this is a time of fear where there are many scams that rear their ugly heads up, and we're hopeful that any of them that are out there are caught by the either FDIC or federal authorities for giving people hope when all they're looking for is money. When we first put our fingers to this, we started planning, and we're in a very large hiring mode right now to be able to handle the types of business that we continue to expect, coming in. As far as everyone should know by now that certain things can be done by everyone to help themselves. You can wash your hands, of course, with soap. And by the way, it's been already told and announced that your soap, period, as long as you're washing your hands thoroughly and in between your fingers, and it doesn't necessarily have to be antiseptic soap, but of course that is good. Of course, you want to use hand cleaners with a minimum alcohol content of 60%, not just something that suddenly might appear on a shelf that's less than that. I don't know how much it's affected, Peter, you and your family and life, but it certainly has affected everyone and our employees, and thankfully we were intelligent enough to pre-order all the different types of equipment, and even with that, it's all in use. We get limitations on all that we can handle, and of course, with the fact that due to the businesses that we're growing, our business is now growing incredibly because those people have had to close down their businesses in a lot of cases, or I noticed today in New York, for example, that they've announced statewide that employers can only have 25% of their employees come to work. That's why, due to that demand, that we're hiring ourselves for more armed guards for all those businesses that are closing. That's an unprotected business is a Christmas present to a thief. And with people, we understand that they feel panicked because there's so many unknown things. And you don't have to be a health worker or a doctor to learn the basics of personal protection. But I had a strange thing happen at one of the targets that we were working at. This gentleman had if you remember in school, we had our 3-foot rulers in class. He had 4 3-foot rulers mounted on a belt, and then had a string, yarn, at the end of each of the rulers, and was wearing that so that no one could get closer to him than 3 feet. I felt that was kind of amusing at the time, because people just not really knowing, that like every day it changes. It seems that a couple of days ago they were saying, well, if the virus gets on the surface, it lasts for 3 hours, and then they changed it to 3 days, and then they've now broken it down to whether it's chrome or whether it's cardboard or whether it's cloth, and we're now even at the point that all our officers, everyone that dies, I always tell them, when you go out, when you come home, don't wear the same clothes out twice. Immediately put them into the washer with disinfectant, because it's some of the symptoms are actually just, they're causing people to react when they really have no reason at that point in time. Just because, for example, somebody has a racing heart, you could just be anxious. This doesn't mean that you're that you have the coronavirus or the COVID-19, whichever way you want to say it. We'll just say the pandemic. The first thing, of course, is that you look at it is the temperature, and that everyone, that if you see all the drive-throughs, the places that we guard now and that we work that are closed and are a little different, but some of the larger places like the Walmarts and Targets, where we actually have drive-throughs where people can come up and get a test from their car as far as the outer surface of if they have, and can answer a few questions as they drive on through the tent that's been sterilized. But every muscle ache that you get doesn't, again, mean you have it, but it's always something that if you put all the things together, from a fever to a dry cough and a muscle ache, and if you do have a temperature, then you certainly want to isolate yourself, to talk to your physician or talk to one of the government agencies, the CDC or the state agencies, because you do learn more every day.
Well, some of the challenges associated with this is when you have some restrictions and you're dealing with people. So let's just use the work one for example. If you were an employer and now all of a sudden you have to tell 3/4 of your workforce that they can't come into work today, and you're dealing with because you're dealing with all the employees, and across the board there's going to be some that are a little bit unstable, you need some kind of a presence to be able to see, wait a minute, we're kind of serious at this, or maybe even some protection. So I'm sure there's a lot of sensitive employers that are out there saying, we need some guys and gals with some badges guarding the entrance. So if we're dealing with some stuff, we have some layers of protection, maybe some extra cameras, maybe some of those things. So those are the things that I'm thinking about. And you said a little bit earlier, you said, probably everybody's got something that might touch them. I have a mother-in-law in a nursing home, and my father-in-law now can't visit her because they kind of dealt with that. And, there's going to be a certain series or a number of people that are going to start to get a little bit irrational with that as tensions start to fly. So your services, I think, are going to become more important on a daily basis. Like, I think if you have 23 phone calls right now, by the time you're done with this radio show, who knows how many more you're going to have. But I think those are really somewhat serious. And my background was biology and chemistry. So I'm going to use an example that some people might be able to focus on relative to the, how long this stuff lasts. I use an example like a virus isn't alive. It's not something that ever died. It was not something that ever lived. It's just a piece of thing that becomes active when it attaches itself to something. So it's a little bit like the Scotch tape in your kitchen drawer. If you have Scotch tape in your kitchen drawer, that can last for a while, and it's kind of sticky on one side. Well, it'll stay sticky for a real long time. So whether it's cardboard or whatever, we're just going to say it's going to be somewhat of a long time. So there's going to be a lot of people that get infected whether they know it or not, and whether it's 3 hours or 3 days or 3 months, who knows, and whether it can be transmitted by mosquitoes or from your Apple package that you just got, or your Amazon package rather that you just got, who knows. But the reality is there's going to be a lot of people with a lot of fear and a lot of misinformation out there. And, Rock, there's going to be a lot of employers and businesses going to want to protect themselves as well as people. So, if you live in a nice neighborhood, maybe you want to increase that, or if you're living, you want to protect a nice neighborhood, you're going to have to do that. There's a lot of things. So tell us a little bit about the types of services that you guys provide, because when I think of security, I think of the obvious thing, maybe a guy with a badge standing in front of a door guarding something, but what else do you do?
Well, as far as the coronavirus, it's a matter, of we start in the beginning of just doing a questionnaire, checking their temperature, and referring them into whether they should be taken further into the medical facility checks, where we're doing you might say the initial checking to determine to which line they go into, and whether or not we suggest that they go home and contact their local office or the CDC. It's funny what you said. Since you and I have been speaking, I've had 6 phone calls come in on my desk.
Right.
So I know that just yesterday we entered into a security contract with the developer of a vaccine for the coronavirus, for the protection of the facilities that are being used, and the fact that there's so many fraudulent things being said that people really don't understand the value of an armed guard over just someone in a uniform. We, of course, do an awful lot in the avenue of divorce cases because of the fact that there's a lot of hidden. I think we had a show last week when we talked about the fact of financial forensics and things that are hidden. Well, you can imagine trying to do forensics on the virus. It changes. It takes a new shape, it seems, every few hours. When they first came out, they said, well, if you sneeze in your elbow or to the crack of your arm, or cover your mouth, that it would last, it could only last a few minutes. Well, of course, now that's changed to hours. And then in some places they say it's even days. And they've now taken it down to the point that we wipe off after every person that we test or work with. We do sanitation, again, with what we use is 70%. And I know the joke, no, we don't drink it, we just use it. It's 40 proof. It's not going to help you if you have the coronavirus. What we do, though, is we continue to work all the other cases that we have, the divorce cases, the fraud cases, as well as the communities that we guard and protect. I know I live in a gated community, and when I say a gated community, we have our own gates that you go through, but we then have patrol cars and people that are operating 24 hours a day, with a force of over 18 and 24 people. Our clubhouse started at the first of the week. They said they were going to go by the state rules in Texas and do 50 people at a time and between separate tables. And now it's down to, they've gone that way from just last Tuesday. They're now down to 10 people at a time that can come in the club with reservations, which seems kind of silly, but I guess in the country club community I live in, we have to pay our dues regardless, so it's not like they're facing the same issues that the poor guy that is a small business, and those are the ones that are really hurt, and those are the ones who really can't afford the kind of services that Custom Protection offers. It's more the fact that we're getting, the smaller chains, the like the 84 Lumbers, or the people like the Targets, or people like the Walmarts that or CVS, that they can afford the higher level of security and allowing the amount of customers that can come in. As far as the sanitation services, they have actually turned us into the point that we have even an extra guard that does nothing but the sanitation is behind the customers that come through. So if you're the cameras, as we've talked about on a couple of shows back, they're very good to show us something that's happened after it's happened, but it won't stop anything. That's why there's there are armed guards. People don't. We stop it when it's happening, not after it happens, where we've got a picture of it. And that's how we face this as a bad enemy. This is, I think the president yesterday made a statement that this nation is now on a war footing, and it feels like that certainly in the security business if you're prepared. Unfortunately, most security companies didn't see this coming and didn't take the time or the seriousness of it, that they went ahead and ordered all the non-contact thermometers and the hazmat suits and the gloves and the things that we wear and do to protect our clients and new clients that keep coming forward. That's why we are in such a hiring mode right now ourselves.
Excellent. Well, let's do this. We're going to take a little commercial break. You're listening to Rock on Custom Protection Services. We'll be right back.
You've been listening to the Custom Protection Services radio show, brought to you by BuildingFortunesRadio.com with Rock and Peter Mingils. Custom Protection Services provides a hands-on approach and is dedicated to your personal and your company's safety and security. Custom Protection Services Incorporated is a Delaware incorporated company with head offices in Conroe, Texas. It offers a comprehensive portfolio of security and protection services which can be tailored to meet specific needs and situations. Services offered include personal protection, risk analysis, crisis response, guidance and strategic planning, maritime protection, travel security, legal investigation, and POA security programs. Client contracts range from hourly to yearly, depending on the type of service being provided. The company can fulfill any client contract by utilizing a network of specialized consultants. Management has 100-plus combined years of experience conducting security and protection operations. Learn more by visiting www.customprotectionservices.com and by checking out all their social media links. Make sure you check out additional radio shows by clicking on the Custom Protection Services radio show segments on BuildingFortunesRadio.com. That's www.BuildingFortunesRadio.com. Now back to our show.
And we are back. Peter Mingils here with Rock, and we're talking about Custom Protection Services. If you go to CustomProtectionServices.com, you'll be able to see the services that they provide, and there's contact information there for Rock and other people as well. And, of course, we just mentioned that they're OTC, they're over-the-counter trading. I think the symbol is CSPS, and I would just imagine, now I'm not an economic guy, I'm not a finance guy, but I would just imagine that if anybody were looking to invest in a company, that they would take a look at something like this, do your due diligence, follow up with Rock and the other things, but you would take a look at this and say, you know what, I am sure if you guys had way more money to be able to hire all the people, you'd be able to answer most of those 6 calls, and there's probably up to 16 by now, of those people that need services. So whether they're big ones or small ones, or, people are still going through divorces, and people are still doing with accounting, forensics, and all of those types of things, that there's a huge need for the expansion of your business. And the limitations are going to be the number of people that you can hire and train. Now, let me talk a little bit about that for a second. I know you have a military background. So when it comes to these people that you're training for these jobs, what kind of people are you normally working with?
Well, we actually do solicit. We're fortunate in the fact that where our offices are here in Texas, we're very close to the VA's hospitals, and so we have an opportunity. We're working with our human resources where we can put out a call and without having to advertise to the general public in most instances. And with this particular instance that's going on, we are, of course, looking to see if we can hire people that have been medics, a corpsman, and the military. If they're at all possible to get, we'll take them. Outside of that, in our interview process that we have now, we go through the same questionnaires as far as how much they know and how attuned they are. We are not looking for someone who's just looking for a part-time job because their other jobs closed down. These all have to be licensed and trained and go through our own training program. even as far as how to take the person down without too much injury to the person, and hopefully no injury to our own officers if they do become unruly, which we have had one instance of that. I believe they also had, I was hearing about one up in, I think it's New York, where this guy was proven to have the virus, and he was actually going around and running into people and trying to, actually had to put him into a coma, a medically induced coma, to keep him from trying to go everywhere and spread and touch and everyone that he can. We had, I think I might have mentioned it, about the different people that are out there now trying to create a virus that some sort of protection from the virus, and that, of course, would be like a shot, just like you would get for polio or something of that nature. And there are several out there that are have had some success with utilizing different things even from the past. I know yesterday they were talking about something of akin to the malaria shots, but that's yet to be. It has shown improvement, but the real issues that are out there, like I said, they're ever changing. The security contract that we just entered into with the developer of a vaccine is for the protection of the facilities, as well as the scientists that are working on the virus themselves, to make sure that they're not being subjected to undue exposure themselves when they're not at the facility. So it ranges, as you said, and we have attorneys' offices that have taken our heed and doing the same thing to make sure when a new client comes in, whether it be looking for financial forensics for mergers, or whether it be for someone who's there to discuss a separation or divorce, that we guide them into telling them the certain things that they should do and should look for in taking new clients. And as I said, I wish I had bought stock myself in some of these germicide that are out there that are 60% and more alcohol, because it's hard to find them on the shelf anymore.
That's true. So we're going to be running out of time, Rock. So let's do this. So the most important thing, I think, overall, is that you train the people that you have. They're qualified. Many of them come from significant backgrounds before, whether it's in medical or military or things like that. So it's not you're running a temporary service where the guy who shows up that day is going to be able to guard your store. You're doing some qualified testing with these people. You're also, for those people listening in, you're traded on the stock market, OTC. Go to CSPS as far as the symbol is concerned. And then if you go to customprotectionservices.com, customprotectionservices.com, you'll see that customized services you'll be able to get. So, Rock, I'll give you like 30 seconds. You wrap it up, and then you got to return a whole bunch of phone calls for those people listening in. If you get Rock's voicemail, make sure you leave a message. And if you really need them, follow up with us, and I'll make sure I can put you in front of Rock as fast as I can. So, Rock, I'll give you 30 seconds. You could wrap it up.
Well, I just say to everyone, we appreciate all our customers. We appreciate all those that are calling in. We'll get back to you as quickly as we can. There's no need for panic. What you really do is just to have as much knowledge as you can, which the media is trying to expose to you, just as I'm sure the media will try and expose every fraudulent thing that's out there. Just keep your eyes and ears open, and don't touch your face with your hands, and make sure you wash your clothes every time you go out. Common sense and get the protection you deserve. CustomProtectionServices.com. That's
CustomProtectionServices.com. Thanks, Rock. We'll see you next
time.
time.
You've been listening to the Custom Protection Services radio show on Building Fortunes Radio. Thanks for listening. Custom Protection Services Incorporated provides a hands-on approach and is dedicated to your personal and your company's safety and security. Check out www.CustomProtectionServices.com and follow them on all their social media platforms. From all of us at Custom Protection Services and Building Fortunes Radio, we hope to offer you a comprehensive portfolio of security and protection services which can be tailored to meet your specific needs and situations. Thanks for listening, and refer the people important to you. Go to www.CustomProtectionServices.com.